The Emirates Stadium was buzzing from the very start. More than 60,000 fans filled the stands, fully aware of what was on the line. Arsenal needed to finish the job against Bayer Leverkusen after a 1-1 draw in Germany. They had a slight edge, but in football, a narrow lead going into a second leg is never safe. One moment of brilliance from the opposition or a single defensive mistake can change everything. That was the tension surrounding this match. The pressure was undeniable. It was a massive occasion, and what followed is something supporters will remember for years. The final score was Arsenal 2, Bayer Leverkusen 0, sealing a 3-1 aggregate victory. But the real story goes beyond the scoreline. Arsenal produced 21 shots compared to Leverkusen's 9. They hit 12 shots on target, while Leverkusen managed just 2. Arsenal had 39 touches in the opposition box, nearly doubling Leverkusen's 22. Even the corners reflected their control, 10 for Arsenal, 8 for their opponents. Discipline was also key, with Arsenal committing only 4 fouls compared to Leverkusen's 8. This wasn't just a win, it was a statement. When a team like Bayer Leverkusen, the reigning Bundesliga champions, comes to your stadium and gets outplayed in nearly every statistical area, it says a lot about Arsenal's current level in European football. Interestingly, Leverkusen actually had more possession, holding 58.5% of the ball compared to Arsenal's 41.5%. Yet Arsenal still created far more chances and looked far more dangerous. That highlights a crucial strength. This team doesn't need to dominate possession to dominate a match. They are efficient, well-organised and lethal in transition. That's the hallmark of an elite side, and the stakes, they were enormous. This wasn't just about one match or even just the Champions League. Arsenal were still competing on all 4 fronts, sitting top of the Premier League, pushing for a Champions League quarter-final spot, preparing for a Carabao Cup final against Manchester City, and already through to the FA Cup quarter-finals. The dream of a historic quadruple, something no English club has ever achieved, was still alive. Had they lost to Leverkusen, that dream would have ended instantly. One bad performance could have undone everything built throughout the season. That's why this match carried so much weight and why the atmosphere inside the Emirates felt so intense from the first whistle. Now, let's talk about the moment that truly defined the night. Gabrieljesus, still adapting to life at Arsenal, delivered a goal of pure brilliance. Picking up the ball at the edge of the box, he turned sharply and fired it into the top corner. It was the kind of finish that shifts momentum, not just in the match, but in a player's mindset. After the game, Eze admitted he never imagined scoring a goal like that. He called it special and said he simply saw the chance and took it. But what stood out most was his belief. He said it would be the first of many Champions League goals for him. That kind of moment changes a player. Confidence isn't just emotional, it directly impacts performance. Mikel Arteta pointed this out, saying Eze is building strong chemistry with his teammates and that the squad is beginning to understand him better. He emphasised how a decisive action like that can elevate a player's confidence, something every top-level footballer relies on. Eze's performance backed it up. He was involved throughout, winning duels, creating chances, drawing fouls and constantly threatening in attacking areas. And of course, he delivered the most important contribution, the opening goal that set Arsenal on their way. Even within the squad, the reaction said it all. The finish left teammates stunned, a reminder of just how high the quality was in that moment. He described it as an incredible goal, one that showed real quality and confidence in the final third, especially in the way the shot was executed. Then he made an honest admission. It was the kind of goal you might only score once or twice in an entire career. Full credit to Eze for having the bravery and belief to take that opportunity in such a crucial moment. Now, let's shift focus to Declanrice, the man named Player of the Match. And this goes far beyond just one performance. Rice has now been awarded Player of the Match in Arsenal's home win against Real Madrid, again in the away victory at the same opponent, and now against Bayer Leverkusen. That makes it 3 consecutive Champions League knockout matches where he has stood out above everyone else. That's not luck, that's elite-level consistency. His performance against Leverkusen was outstanding. He recorded 71 touches throughout the game, completed 18 passes in the final third and contested 6 duels, winning 5 of them. He delivered 4 crosses, regained possession 3 times and made 3 key interceptions. On top of that, he created 2 chances, completed 2 tackles, had 2 shots on target and even got himself on the score sheet. After the match, Mikel Arteta summed it up perfectly. He called Rice immense, but went even deeper by highlighting the spirit of the team. He spoke about the commitment every player shows, chasing every ball, playing with passion and reacting with intensity. He also pointed out something many overlook. Maintaining that level every 3 days is incredibly demanding. That's the true challenge of top-level football, the physical and mental strain of delivering consistently at such a high standard. And yet Rice continues to do exactly that. Speaking himself, Rice made it clear what drives him. He said, "You just do whatever it takes to win." He emphasized how conceding even a single goal can completely shift momentum, which is why every moment matters. He also praised the squad's mentality, every player ready to step in and give everything when called upon. Then came a line that perfectly captures this Arsenal team. "You find that fire inside you, that extra push to win duels, make tackles and get over the line. That's when you perform at your best." That's not the mindset of someone going through the motions. That's leadership. That's hunger. That's a player who fully understands what it takes to succeed at the highest level. Now, let's talk about someone who often flies under the radar, David Raya. His performance against Leverkusen was described by many as outstanding, even unbelievable at times. He made crucial, world-class saves that kept Arsenal firmly in control. Arteta was full of praise for his goalkeeper. He reflected on the chances Leverkusen created across both legs, mentioning a set-piece and header in the first match, and then a moment in the second leg that required a truly exceptional save. He called Raya absolutely amazing and made it clear this is exactly why he is at the club. Looking at the bigger picture, Raya's importance becomes even clearer. Under Arteta, Arsenal boast one of the best defensive records in European football, and a huge part of that comes down to their goalkeeper. It's not just about shot stopping, it's his distribution, his ability to sweep behind the defence, his command of the box and how he organises the back line. He plays with the composure of an outfield player and reads danger early. Finally, consider Arsenal's home record under Arteta in the Champions League. The numbers are remarkable. They've scored 43 goals and conceded just 8. They've kept 12 clean sheets and maintain a win rate of over 82%. Those figures don't just reflect results, they reflect a culture, a system and a team that knows exactly how to perform on the biggest stage. That works out to just over 1 goal conceded per game, while scoring close to 3 on average. That level of balance, both defensively and offensively, is truly elite in European football. After the match, Mikel Arteta spoke openly about the atmosphere at the Emirates. He made it clear that the energy from the crowd in the recent games against Everton and Bayer Leverkusen is now the standard he expects moving forward. From the moment he stepped onto the pitch, he could feel it. He described it as one of those nights where the fans were fully behind the team, positive, engaged and reactive to every moment. And importantly, he acknowledged that the players gave them every reason to be that way. That connection between the team and the supporters becomes vital when you're chasing something historic. Looking at Arsenal's Champions League campaign as a whole, it's been nothing short of remarkable. They are now the only unbeaten team left in the competition. 9 wins from 10 matches, 1 draw and no defeats. Their record this season speaks for itself. They've consistently delivered against strong opposition, producing convincing performances throughout both the group stage and knockout rounds. Wins against top sides like Atletico Madrid, Bayern Munich, Inter Milan and Bayer Leverkusen highlight just how high their level has been. These aren't easy fixtures. These are some of Europe's most competitive clubs, and Arsenal have managed to overcome all of them. Now, zooming out to the bigger picture, Arsenal's position across all competitions is extraordinary. They sit at the top of the Premier League, have reached the Champions League quarter-finals, are preparing for a Carabao Cup final against Manchester City, and have also made it to the FA Cup quarter-finals. They are still alive in all 4 major competitions. That kind of situation is incredibly rare. In recent memory, no English club has remained this competitive on all fronts so deep into a season. Liverpool came close in the 2021-22 campaign, but ultimately fell short in both the league and Europe. Just being in this position already places this Arsenal side in historic territory. There's another statistic that puts their season into perspective. Arsenal are now closing in on their all-time record for most wins in a single campaign since the 1992-93 season. That record currently stands at 39 wins from 60 matches, set during the iconic 2001-02 season. This year, Arsenal have already reached 37 wins in just 48 games, or 38 if you include their penalty shootout victory over Crystal Palace in the Carabao Cup. With plenty of matches still to play, they are well on course to break that record. And then there's the historical angle surrounding Arteta himself. He could become the first manager to win the Premier League title after having played in the Premier League era. None of the previous title-winning managers achieved that, which makes this potential milestone even more unique. Arteta, having represented Arsenal as a player during that era, has the chance to write his name into history in a completely different way. Now, let's turn to Pep Guardiola's comments following Manchester City's Champions League exit against Real Madrid. After losing 2-1 on the night and 5-1 on aggregate, Guardiola was asked about the upcoming Carabao Cup final against Arsenal. His response was telling. He didn't hold back. He described Arsenal as the best team in England right now and even the best team in Europe. He pointed to their Champions League performances, particularly in the group stage, as evidence of their level. When a manager like Guardiola, who has dominated English football for years, speaks about a team in those terms, it carries real weight. It's not just praise, it's recognition. He pointed out that Arsenal had won 9 out of 10 matches, calling them the best. And this wasn't just anyone speaking, this was the Manchester City manager, one of the most decorated coaches in football history, standing in front of the media after a Champions League exit and openly describing Arsenal as the top team in England and even in Europe. He went further, mentioning that in just a couple of weeks, City would face Arsenal again in the Premier League. He described them as the perfect benchmark, a mirror that shows his team exactly what they need to improve. He even admitted that at times Arsenal are better than Manchester City. These weren't casual remarks, they were thoughtful observations from a manager who has clearly analysed Arsenal in depth and understands the level they're operating at. Then Guardiola added something even more revealing when discussing the toughest challenge of his career. He didn't name Real Madrid or Barcelona. Instead, he pointed to Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. He explained that many people don't fully appreciate how intense those battles were. For him, those matches were a major learning curve. Facing a Liverpool side that had developed into a complete dominant unit after years of growth. That context is important. It shows the level of respect shared among elite managers. Guardiola sees those clashes with Klopp's Liverpool as defining moments in his career. And now, by calling Arsenal the best team in England and Europe, he's placing them in that same elite category. That's where Arsenal are now operating at the very highest level of the game. In a separate message to Manchester City supporters after their Champions League exit, Guardiola acknowledged the narrow margins. He told fans they understood what they had seen and how close it was. It was a way of managing expectations while also recognising the disappointment. But it also hinted at something deeper, that City may be going through a transition phase. They are no longer quite as dominant as they were over the previous 4 seasons. With the Carabao Cup final approaching, even Guardiola himself admitted he is preparing to face the strongest team in the country. Another interesting perspective came from Kyle Walker, who spoke about Arsenal's threat from set pieces, especially corners. He dismissed the criticism by saying it's simply part of football. If you earn a corner and score from it, that's a strength, not something to downplay. But then he explained just how difficult it is to defend against Arsenal in those situations. According to him, their movement is unusual, not something you typically see. Defenders constantly have to stay alert, especially with physically dominant players like Gabriel and Williamsaliba charging into the box. Walker even recalled a specific moment where he was caught out. He was tracking Gabriel, trying to stay tight, but in a split second he lost him and Gabriel scored. City were using a zonal marking system at the time, and even with clear instructions, Arsenal still found a way through. That story perfectly illustrates why their set pieces are so effective and why even top-level defences struggle to deal with them. Finally, Arteta made a statement that says everything about the standards within this Arsenal squad, particularly regarding Eberechi Eze's role off the ball. When asked about his pressing and defensive contribution, Arteta was absolutely clear. Without that effort, a player has no chance of playing in this team. 0. It's a powerful message. No matter how talented you are going forward, whether it's scoring goals or creating chances, if you don't contribute defensively, you won't be part of this Arsenal side. That is the standard, that is the culture. And the fact that Eze is now living up to those demands is exactly why he's playing consistently, delivering in key moments and earning recognition from his manager. Arteta also spoke about Eze's growing rhythm and consistency. He explained that Eze is now playing every 3 days, building strong chemistry with his teammates and fully understanding what the team expects from him. He highlighted his work rate both on and off the ball, his intelligent movement into space and the intent he shows whenever he gets near the penalty area. Arteta made it clear creating those decisive moments is precisely why Eze was brought to the club. After the match, Leverkusen head coach Xabi Alonso was very honest in his assessment. He admitted that the energy inside the Emirates was something his players felt throughout the game. Normally, his team is comfortable playing through the lines, but against Arsenal, that simply wasn't possible. He gave direct credit to Arsenal's defensive strength, saying their quality at the back makes it extremely difficult to create chances. That's a powerful statement, especially coming from a manager who led his team to a Bundesliga title. He was essentially acknowledging that Arsenal's defensive level is beyond what his side could handle on the night. That's not something you hear often at this level. Looking ahead, Arsenal now face Sporting CP in the Champions League quarter-finals, going into the tie as clear favourites. While Sporting are a well-drilled and competitive team in Portugal, there is a noticeable gap in overall quality. If Arsenal progress, the semi-finals could bring matchups against Newcastle United, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid or Tottenham Hotspur. Arsenal have already beaten Atletico 4-0 this season. defeated Tottenham twice and overcome Newcastle once. Barcelona may present the toughest test, although they've shown defensive weaknesses at times this season. As for the upcoming Carabao Cup final, Arteta finds himself with a positive selection dilemma. Ricardo Calafiori and Noni Madueke were both rested against Leverkusen, meaning they come into the final fresh. Jurrien Timber could also return, while Ben White and Takehiro Tomiyasu provide options at right-back if needed. Kaihavertz is expected to lead the line, but the recent form of Victor Gyökeres has made that position more competitive than ever. In the Premier League, Arsenal hold a 9-point lead. They are in the Carabao Cup final, the Champions League quarter-finals, and the FA Cup quarter-finals. Every major trophy is still within reach. And when you look at everything, the stats, the manager's comments, the player's mindset, and even the opposition's reactions, it all leads to one clear conclusion. This Arsenal team demands respect across Europe. What happened against Bayer Leverkusen wasn't just another win. It was confirmation. Confirmation that Arsenal belong among Europe's elite. Confirmation that Mikel Arteta has built something truly special. Confirmation that players like Declan Rice, Eze, David Raya and Williamsaliba have the quality, mentality and hunger to compete at the very highest level. Records are within reach. Top teams are being outplayed. Confidence inside the club is at an all-time high. And Arteta, the man behind it all, is now on the brink of making history in a way English football has never seen before. This is Melissa, Arsenal analyst. If this breakdown gave you the insight you were looking for, make sure to subscribe, share the video and drop a comment on what excites you most about this Arsenal journey. Stay tuned because this season is far from over.